have our Talia, and her name is Tamara Smart. And what's interesting and a great connection for her is that she's played Lance Reddick's daughter before. And so it's like a nice little nod to him that like they casted her and that they had always planned on working together again. It's really sweet.
It is really, really sweet. And it's really funny that everyone was coming up with all of these conspiracies about when they would tell us who Thalia was at all of these big panels. And they're like, let's just tell you on a Monday before Rick Riordan's book comes out.
Yeah.
like, why not? And the way that he talked about it, like this morning in the interview, he was like, Disney said we could do it today. And I was like, oh, okay. And like, he was just like surprised about how they're like, yeah, that's fine. And he's like, oh. And especially the guy who interviewed him this morning, and he was like, oh, apparently we're going to say casting news today, and his eyes just like bugged out of his head because he's actually a huge Percy Jackson fan, because he was like, what?
It was very unexpected. I had sent you a on threads that I saw this morning. Becky was answering somebody, and she saw that just this random thread. It was like a 3-letter sad poem or something like that. Say a 3-letter sad poem. She said no casting news. And then it was just like, oh yeah, there is casting news today.
Yeah. And then also a couple days ago, she responded to somebody on threads that said something like, oh, if Percy Jackson or if Disney wants to help promote Rick's new book, they should, announce some casting something for season 2 to get attention again. And she just responded to that with like one of those like happy emojis, and I was just like, I see you doing that. I'm gonna keep that in the back of my mind in case something actually does happen. And
they like put on the blog, the news site, on Rick Riordan's news site, that he's gonna be talking about how she was chosen like during the book tour. So it is a nice little way for him to promote the books as well.
Yeah, and just from that, I would assume that they're on episode 3, and that Thalia is going to be in flashback scenes in that episode, which makes sense. Because the other like thing that happened this week was people saw them filming a scene that was, it was very obviously the scene with after the Hydra stuff when Clarice shows up. And one thing I thought was really funny is that sometimes as fans, we like overthink things like way too much. Like that's actually most of the time what we do, because we were trying to figure out there was like smoke and fog and stuff all over the water. And we were like, what is that? Is that like Luke's ship? Is that them like blowing up like when her ship blows up or something? I'm like, I don't think it was any of that. I think that it was just them using fog as a special effect. Because the place where they're at when they get attacked by the Hydra is supposed to be out in like a murky swamp. That's why I was like, I feel like that's what the scene is supposed to be, but the location like doesn't fit where that scene is supposed to happen, because they're supposed to be in like South Carolina or something. And then when we saw the scene with like the fog stuff, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's them just trying to make it look like where it's actually supposed to be.
Yeah, and Birmingham wasn't running smoothly even before all of that happened, so it didn't have to be an explosion necessarily. I think I saw that in the comments somewhere.
Yeah, and like it was cute. It was nice seeing like the scene because it was how you would imagine it, like Tyson looking scared about them coming up to them, and they don't look like Civil War soldiers, and I was like, thank God for that, because they don't need that. They look like, still like magical things somehow on the sea or whatever, but it was the thing that I liked the most about seeing that part was seeing Percy be like being like big brother Percy, even though Tyson's older than him, whatever. Like when the scene starts, they're like sleeping it looks like they're sleeping at least on the beach together, and Annabeth is like sleeping somewhere else. She runs up to them when the creepy things start showing up. But the one thing you can get from the scene is that Tyson is scared, and that Percy is talking to him while also trying to deal with like the things that are right next to them suddenly to calm him down and also like handle it. And I was just like, it's so cute to see him being able to be a big brother like that.
It is. Yeah.
But yeah, the Thalia stuff was really fun to finally get the announcement. The actress is British.
Feel good. Feeling good. Thalia. Feeling Thalia. So cutie. She's so cute. I love her.
Your hair looks so good.
You literally look so mom, it's cray. I feel good.
She was one of the people who messages me sometimes is British, and she said that she was in a TV show over there that was like a magical school, like girls only magical school kind of fun show. It's called like Worst Witch, and it's what people over there know her best for, but they really liked her from that show. And so either way, there's no way that they would have cast this person as Thalia if she didn't do a great job. The one thing I can add on is that today on Threads, I think, yeah, Becky was responding to somebody else talking about the picture that Dior put up of them doing their table read for episode 3, and where she's there, and Becky said something about how hearing Luke say like his lines in like their table read made her emotional, and I'm like, yeah, that has to be flashback scenes, because I didn't really consider it, but they could do flashback scenes of when Luke and Thalia met and just have Percy or Annabeth or something be dreaming about it.
Yeah.
Because they have time to go into that stuff now.
Yeah, and Percy has one Thalia dream, like, I don't remember when exactly it happens, but he sees her, he knows it's her, even though he's never met her, and she calls him Seaweed Brain. So, like...
Yeah, that happens, like, more later on. Like, he has, like, that, creepy dream where they wake up when he sees, like, a sarcophagus. That's, like, right when the siren stuff happens after that.
Yeah.
But it just makes sense, especially around, like, the Hydra stuff. That's when Annabeth and him first talk about why she hates Tyson. And so it just makes sense that they would show that stuff anyway, and show, you know, what they were like when they were younger, and why, you know, Annabeth and stuff still, like, tries to hold on to Luke being good one day and things like that. The thing I wanted to just bring up is that it's a good thing. This show makes every other production look like a fucking bitch when it comes to diversity. It is, like, sickening how much they do it and how little everyone else does. Like, I was just thinking about, like, every other show I've ever watched or every other movie or anything that I've ever been interested in, there's usually, like, one black person, and especially there's usually one black girl. Like, usually people of color that are women are, like, the last people that are added into things. They're always, like, the last people that get to be directors or writers or be cast in things like this. And so, like, I was just thinking about, like, there's 3 of them in one show. Every female lead is black, like, on this show. And I'm just, when I think about every other thing that's out there, I'm like, I know you're a bunch of lying little bitches, because if this is a children's, like, show, it's meant for kids. If this show can do this on Disney, like, Disney is okay in all of these decisions. They have changed the race of every character except for Walker, like, Walker, Percy. He's the only one. And he's literally the only white person. And he's fine. Like, that's just how it is. And it's just so, like, great that they can do that. And so, but it's like, if they can do this here, there's no excuse for anybody else. And it just made me think about the news that the Avatar: The Last Airbender show did this week, where it was just a wild juxtaposition of one production that actually cares about what they're making and another one that I don't know what the hell is going on with the Avatar one. If I believe that they care, but I also don't know if it's being rushed by the network or just being, or not caring as much or something. But either way, they put out a open casting call in June, the middle of June, when they were going to be filming in 2 months to find Toph. And it's like, the open casting call for Percy and Annabeth and Grover lasted for an entire year. Like all the trio kids did not hear back from them for 9 months. They all thought that they didn't get the part. They thought that they didn't get a call back because it'd been so long since they heard from them. Because they actually took the time to find the right people.
Mm-hmm.
And so to do a casting call that only lasts 2 months before you start filming, I'm like, no. 2 months is not long enough to even find an actress and then like negotiate a contract and then sign it really in that little amount of time before you start filming. And a character, there's no way that Netflix would have a start date of filming when they didn't know who was going to play Toph in season 2. The most important character in all of season 2. I'm like, you guys just put out that casting call to make it look like you tried to find somebody who was disabled.
Yeah.
And then to be like, oh, we just couldn't find anyone who fit the right part. It's like, no, you didn't even try. And like nothing against like the girl that they cast, like she has no part in any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just showing like that is usually what like Hollywood stuff does, is things like that. And so when this show casts every major female character is black, and they've changed the race of almost every single character where it's just totally normal at this point, I'm genuinely surprised that Daniel was white when he was announced as Tyson. Like, and it's great. That's how it should be. It's just one of those things that I'm like, this is like the poll that I have to like judge every production going forward. Because if they could do it with this one, they can do it with everything. So what's your excuse exactly?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like I've seen mixed with Toph, and we had talked about this because we're in Percy Jackson production. Like you and I are constantly looking at the kids' Instagrams to see if like there's any new news. We're looking at Rick Riordan's stuff. We're looking at Disney Plus's stuff. And I was like, okay, what happens if I look up Avatar right now? What happens if I go onto Netflix's channels? There's like nothing out there, and they've been greenlit for season 2 and season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Percy Jackson, we know that this next upcoming season is like people's least favorite book, to be honest. It's it's mine because of the lore behind it, but like it's not people's favorite. It introduces some great storylines, some great cast members, but other than that, it's going to be a hard one to get through. But like I have faith that it's going to do well because the people care a lot more.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, like everybody literally almost every day when the account on Twitter that everybody follows that updates on new stuff and things like that, whenever they post anything about Sea of Monsters filming, there is always somebody in the replies that's like, can they just say that they're going to do season 3 because I need Titan's Curse in my life, and if they don't do it, I'm going to die. And so, like, I like Sea of Monsters, and people like it, and we're excited to see it, and there are certain scenes that people are excited for, but, like, the level of, like, love that people have for every other book after that is, like, kind of absolutely obscene. But still, considering that, people are really excited, and we're talking about it constantly, and still want to see anything we can from it. And so it is kind of weird that the Avatar show started filming like 2 weeks after Percy did. And you've heard like nothing about it at all before they put out this thing. And it's just because they did a lot of weird stuff in season 1. And so it'd be like if we watched, well, we already did this, but like if Percy was more like the character of him in the movies instead of like we have in the show where he's actually himself, then nobody would be as excited to watch Sea of Monsters, and it would be kind of the same situation where there would be people watching it, but it would be like more nervous about it and just not paying as much attention because it makes you anxious.
Yeah.
Like, but that's I think where Avatar is, and it really sucks because that is such a really good show, and a show like this shows that it's very possible to adapt something into a TV show and do a really good job. But I don't think that the people making it or the network, especially the network like Netflix, is willing to take the time to like actually figure that out And because it did take time, like Rick Riordan put out a video saying that he was going to adapt like Percy Jackson into a TV show in like 2020, I think. I think it was somewhere in 2020 when he said it was like official that they were going to do it. But they were working on it like behind the scenes, like figuring out like scripts and things like that for like at least a year before they even started like casting and putting out casting calls for the kids and stuff. And they put out those casting calls somewhere in 2021. And so they did like a lot of work between him and the two main showrunners, did work for a long time, like building up trust with each other before they ever even got to the point of bringing anybody in. And I'm not sure that a lot of other book to like TV show adaptations have like actually done things like that and taken the time to make it good.